Welcome in to a very exciting Running with the Timberwolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. My name is Gabe Anderson, and I'm joined, as always, by Chris Emerson. Chris, how we doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. It's exciting when you're a team that is, drafting 27th, and you can be talking about a big, exciting draft pick. So this is pretty cool.
I know, it's great. So if you haven't heard the news that came through, Wolves trade a 2030 pick swap and a 2031 first round pick, which honestly, I'm 29 now. When that pick materializes, I'll be 35, so I won't even care at that time. For Rob Dillingham, guard from Kentucky. Now, a little bit about Rob Dillingham. Just a great shooter. 44% from three, 47% from the field. He was the sixth man at Kentucky. So who knows if he plays that role here, or maybe the second man off the bench, he'll already be ready for it. He's a score first point guard. So let's just get your initial thoughts, your overall thoughts on the move.
I mean, so first off, I didn't do a ton of research on Rob Dillingham because I didn't think he was going to be a guy that was anywhere near where we could be looking. But someone that I've been talking with was telling me that does scout the draft pretty well, as a fan. And he's been saying for weeks that he would take Rob Dillingham number one. Just because of how electric this guy is, how probably maybe even a fit for the Wolves. But I mean, this is the type of guy that we're looking for that can get a bucket, we've been talking about all year, is we need a guy when Anthony Edwards is out that can just give him the ball and let him go get buckets and create offense. And when you were talking about the shooting percentage, that 3-point percentage is wild because after my friend was mentioning him, I looked him up a couple weeks ago, and his shots are not like easy, like standstill 3-point shooters. This guy's taking them like crazy hard pull-ups, like off balance threes. Like he'll shoot from anywhere. Some of the comps that I've seen is Brandon Jennings, and Brandon Jennings coming out of college or coming out of overseas was one of my favorite point guards. I mean, he was exciting. He was flashy. He was electric, Stephon Marbury type game. It's going to be an exciting change of pace for us.
I agree. And this is exactly what we wanted coming into the draft. Now, the two things that we wanted were either a replacement for Kyle Anderson, and maybe we do that at 27. I don't know. But what this team was missing basically the entire year was a score first player off the bench who could come in when Anthony Edwards is out. Maybe Karl Anthony Towns is having a tough game. Come in. A guard, yes. Come in and hit some shots. What we wanted, to a lesser extent, Jalen Noel to be. And I honestly don't think that we've had an opportunity to have a player like this since the Jimmy Butler years, since a Jamal Crawford almost, I'm not saying he's a Jamal Crawford, but just a score-first guard off the bench. And I tip my cap to Tim Connolly because he's given up picks like 6 years from now. Who knows where we're going to be 6 years from now? I love this all-in move.
Well, I'll tell you where we're probably not going to be is drafting like higher than 8th. Like we moved up quite a bit. So, I mean, I think it's a great move. That's what really blew my mind is how little the compensation was. Pick swaps mean almost nothing to me because you're still getting a first.
Right.
I mean, unless like the Spurs win the title and you're drafting top 10 or something, but those probably aren't happening. So pick swap doesn't matter. So I think it's amazing. And to target a guy that, is exactly what we want. He's got swagger. He's got, he can drop buckets on you quick. He's got deep range. Like you said, Jamal Crawford, he's got a lot of that. Like if you watch him, that's one of the guys that anyone who's watched basketball is like, oh yeah, this guy looks like that, crazy dribble, gets by people quicker than you'd think, can finish around the rim with both hands. I mean, he's going to be fun to watch. Even if he doesn't fulfill like his 90 percentile potential,
Right.
he's still going to be an electric scorer or a score first player off the bench, which will fill a need, even if he's not great.
And I think it's pretty easy to say, I think we have found the heir apparent for Mike Conley. Now, I'm not saying that Rob Dillingham's going to start day one because I really don't think so, but he could be our point guard of the future here going forward. And you got to remember, John Calipari, his whole, and I know he's not the coach of Kentucky now, but his whole blueprint is not necessarily to win championships in college, but to get these guys ready for the NBA. And what are some of the guards that he's churned out? Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Malik Monk. You have Tyler Hero, and the list goes on and on and on. Devin Booker. Kentucky is a guard factory, and Jamal Murray, yeah, and we just got another one.
Yeah, and the way to look at this, what's amazing for me is when we were talking about the Karl Anthony Towns trade, I'm talking about, well, I want to get back somebody that is a guard that is, relatively young, so it can be still on the young timeline, and he can be an offensive weapon from the guard spot, was something that was my number one target in that trade. I mean, we solved that with at least a play style. Like, who knows how successful he'll be, but having a player that when you kick the ball to, they attack is valuable. And we now have that. And who knows what we're doing at 27. I mean, that pick might be up for trade. We might bring in, a veteran, or we might bring in another great asset. Who knows how this draft's going to fall.
Yeah, I'm excited. If you're listening live or watching on Twitter, by the way, thanks for joining us on Twitter and or YouTube, wherever you are listening. We love to see you coming in the masses. We are at pick 15. Miami's on the clock, so about 12 picks away, and maybe we'll touch on the 27th pick. But, man,
I will say the 14th pick that just went to the Blazers is Carlton Carrington, who is the guard that I really liked. I don't know if I would have taken him over Dillingham, but I might have. But I'm happy with where we're at. I mean, Dillingham's way more electric, way more of a scorer, and that's more of a need.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I started thinking about it. I watched a little more tape, I guess you could say, after we did our last podcast. And that guard from Illinois, the Terrence Shannon guy, I started thinking, maybe he could be that guy off the bench who comes in and is scoring, is first minded as scoring and can kind of be that guy. I watched his game against Nebraska, so not the best talent, but he was slicing and dicing. It was in the Big Ten tournament, but believe me, I'd rather have this.
Yes,
I mean, that's the thing. Like the pick that we gave up is 5 years from now, 6 years from now. Like, that's insane. If we could get a guy who could contribute right now in Ant's prime and Carl's prime, I mean, I'll take that every day. I mean, Mike Conley isn't going to be around here in 6 years. Half the team's going to be gone in 6 years. I don't even care about that pick. Now, obviously, could we look in the future and maybe the Wolves do well for a little bit and then take a turn and then a generational player goes at one? Possibly. But I don't even care about 6 years from now at this point. Who cares?
Right. And even if we're looking roster as is right now, like Monte Morris very well possibly is going to walk because we're trying to cut salary cap. We don't have a backup point guard at all. Conley's getting old. So even just getting a guy that we could even plug in as the backup point guard is a huge asset. Like we solved a positional need, and, you're bringing in a guy on the number, was it number 9? Salary is going to be pretty reasonable. So, I mean, just filling holes in our roster have been accomplished.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Bleacher Report, scoring first ball handler. Here's a few comparisons. And if he is even 75% of what these guys turned out to be, I would love it. Comparisons are Kobe White, Kemba Walker, and Lou Williams. Yeah, that sounds like exactly what I want coming off our bench.
That's the type of guy that we've been literally Kobe White I mentioned last year as an issue is because like that's the type of guy we need. We need a guy that can play point but can also be an aggressive scorer next to Anthony Edwards so that when they're trying to pressure him to take the ball out of his hands, we can kick it to somebody who can attack the defense themselves off the dribble. I mean, it worked out pretty dang well. I mean, he's like a rich man's Bones Highland, and we know how much Tim Connolly loved Bones Highland. So, it's going to be fun, and he's going to be a fun player. I think there's going to be a lot of Dillingham jerseys in the near future in the Timberwolves Target Center.
And that's what I'm loving right now about Tim Connolly. Like, I know we have videos going back 2 or 3 years. Like, could the Wolves go after Bones Highland? Could the Wolves get this guy? And Tim Connolly may have tried to get those guys at the time. I don't know.
I'm sure he did.
But he keeps going at it. He keeps trying like, oh, okay, that didn't work. Well, let's try this. He must have I'm just baffled because he must have really gone deep in his bag and been like, hey, we have this pick in 2031. You want this one? Give us Rob. Like that's what I love about the job that he's doing right now.
And I don't think I could be wrong, but I don't think that 2031 pick was even eligible to be traded until today when the draft started.
I'm sure you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that became eligible on draft night today. So like it's wild. And when you have a GM that's willing to make moves, and when he sees a way to make his team better, he does it. That's exciting as a franchise. Like we should be very happy as a franchise to have him as our GM, opposed to guys who just sit back and hope things work out because they're afraid to make a mistake.
Right. And I think it's fitting that potentially maybe the missing piece in our franchise. Now, I don't want to go too far with Rob Dillingham, obviously too much off the cuff, but 15 years after we pass on Steph Curry, maybe we just made up for it. It's possible.
That'd be fun. Yeah, I mean, and we're getting the type of culture here. Like, so assuming that Rudy Gobert and Anthony Edwards and those guys are still in-house, he's coming into a roster that is mature, that works hard, that is about business, that just got off a Western Conference final run, that has a all-star level coach. Like he's going to come in and there's going to be no messing around. Like it's serious ball players only type thing. So it's going to be exciting to see what that will do to him. But like you said, him being the sixth man and Calipari being the type of guy who gets people ready.
Yes.
He's going to be ready day one to step in the middle of the second quarter or the third quarter off the bench and be an electric scorer right away. Some of these guys who's only started and only had the balls in their hands their whole life, that kind of thing it takes a while to get used to. So, I mean, this is a plug and play playoff type position ready. It's exciting.
Yeah, and if you can get a Malik Monk light in the draft and not have to pay Malik Monk type salary, that is an absolute win for yours and mine, Minnesota Timberwolves. I know it feels like I'm gushing about this, but the moment I was watching the ESPN broadcast, which, by the way, I've watched both of them tonight. I think the ESPN broadcast is better than the ABC one. Nothing against what's his name, Stephen A. Smith, but I think that Jay Billis has a better analysis of these players than Stephen A. Smith. But
for sure.
The moment that I heard that he was a Timberwolf, man, I was just so happy. Like this is perfect. And
we lost you. The thing that's cool is I like what I just keep saying is this is the style of player that we've been craving for years. I mean, this is a style of player that we knew we needed next to Anthony Edwards. So the only thing that can happen is up from here for us. We're filling need. We're filling strategic need where now you can rest Anthony Edwards more. He's going to learn behind Mike Conley. everything is just gonna hopefully pan out. And you know, Kentucky guards are known to be way better in the pros than in college. So we'll see.
Oh yeah. I mean, what Devin Book? This is all. I'm not saying that Rob Dillingham is Devin Booker, right? I'm not saying that, but I believe Devin Booker was a freshman six man on his team as well at Kentucky.
He was.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's exciting. Now I'm just excited for 27.
I am as well. And like you said, if you're watching live, we are at, I believe, 16 Philadelphia right now. So we are getting closer and closer. But let us know in the comments what you think about Rob Dillingham and the Minnesota Timberwolves and the job that Tim Connelly has done. And I know that it's kind of hyperbole right now, but Tim Connelly just keeps throwing out banger after banger on this one, because he could have just been, oh, we need small forward help with the 27th pick. Oh, I'm just going to sit back and just take my pick from there. But no, he was aggressive. And it's not the type of aggressive that I know you have better feelings for him, but kind of a David Kahn who would just do stuff to kind of just do stuff just to when we were floundering. But no, this seems like a focused effort, a focused effort to get better. I think he watched the playoffs and, okay, this, and this is what we need to get better this offseason. And that's exactly what he's doing. And he's watching, like, for example, the Knicks kind of loading up and trading a bunch of picks for Mikal Bridges. He's watching all these teams get better, and he doesn't want to see the Wolves get left behind.
Yeah. If you're not getting better right now, you're dying in the NBA. Like, every team's getting better, even the best teams. I mean, Boston was the best roster in the NBA for a couple years, and then they went and got Porzingis and Holiday. Like, right. I mean, you got to keep getting better. And I mean, it's possible that depending on how this ownership thing trickles out, it might have been passed down to him that, hey, you're absolutely not making a trade. That maybe he was interested in making a big trade. Maybe he was interested in supplementing the guard play through a Karl Anthony Towns trade, and he was told that that's not going to happen. It won't be allowed. If that's the case, well, then he, went back in his bag of tricks and found a way to supplement the guard play through the draft. So, I mean, he got the best scoring guard, in my opinion, a most electric scoring guard that was in the draft. So it's going to be fun to watch him play.
And for all those people, let's go back 2 years when everyone was freaking out about, oh, the Rudy Gobert trade. We gave up so many picks to get Rudy Gobert. What you got to remember is if you want to draft in the lottery, if you want to draft high and get high prospects, there's other ways to do it. You don't necessarily have to lose a bunch of games and fall deep in the draft. There's other ways to get players early on in the draft, like giving up a pick 6 years from now, which I still can't get over that. That's just crazy to me. I mean, now I don't want to get crazy with this, but if we've hoisted 2 championships, and even if that pick, like I said, is the number 1 pick, will I care? No. Because it's about winning now. And to do it when the West is so good. Like I said, the West is an arms race right now. We saw Oklahoma City make the move for a defensive-minded guard like Alex Caruso. Their weak link was Josh Giddey. I'm sure they're not done either, but this is masterful work. And I honestly, man, does it not make you pumped to watch Summer League?
It does. It does. And again, an electric guard is the best. A guard, I mean, bigs and stuff and wings, they're fun, but a guy that's going to have the ball in his hands and, behind the back dribble, step back, crossover. I mean, he's got the whole bag, so it's going to be really fun to see.
It is. And I'm looking at the draft projection on Bleacher Report. It says draft ceiling, top 3, draft floor, late lottery. I mean, so kind of in the middle there. The 3 things they said for him and that our strength are the 3 things we're looking for: ball handling, creation, shot making versatility, improving playmaking. I mean, that's exactly what we need. If you were to tell me three things that we needed, I'd probably say those three things.
Yeah, because I mean, playmaking is nice and all, and I get it, he's a point guard, but I mean, that's really not a huge need. I mean, Anthony Edwards is going to be doing playmaking, and he's going to be doing playmaking, but we don't run like a point guard heavy John Stockton 1994 type thing where the point guard's just pounding the ball. Like, we move the ball around enough, enough guys have it that it's not as much of a necessity as being able to get your own shot off the dribble. So yeah, I mean, again, he targeted the biggest need that we have. He found the guy that has those skill sets in the the biggest set of those skill sets, and he went and got him. I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that.
Yeah, I am so excited by this, and we are getting closer and closer to the 27th pick. I think what we'll do is we'll break, and maybe we'll come back in a little. You'll come back in a little bit, talk about the 27th pick. Does that sound good?
Let's do it.
All right, sounds good. Stay tuned. This is the Running with the Timberwolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple. And as always, go Wolves, and we'll see you soon.